Michelle? Michelle, are you there? No, you did not miss it. I've just pressed gone live now. I was randomly on Instagram just then, doing a bit of a live share on the old Insta, but hey, how are ya? I'm a little bit closer to this part of the community, the American or North American community, you could say. So I randomly wanted to share this because yesterday morning I confessed a zero waste fail because I purely out of just sort of like, I guess, laziness, I didn't bring my keep cup. I should have done. And I knew it, like, as I was coming out of the car, I literally just was like, when you're traveling, I had like my backpack and I had my like roller case and then I had my like over the shoulder bag and I had my water bottle in another bag, my new copper water bottle, which I'm loving. I recycle. What am I saying? But everyone now has those water bottles that you can refill in airports, which is pretty sweet because we're not all just chucking plastic bottles away and then buying more plastic bottles once we go through the gates. So I'm loving the copper. I actually used the copper at one point to drink the coffee. However, without thinking at whatever time in the morning yesterday, I just like got the coffee machine on, put the coffee in, and this was the coffee cup. And it was only when I was like live yesterday morning that I was like, zero waste fail, because this even is like, I don't even exactly know what this is made of. It is recyclable. And it is paper product, but it looks like there's something else on it, but it's recyclable. But there again, we know from the zero waste course that like products being recyclable doesn't necessarily mean what we think and or what we idolize, what we ideally want it to be, right? A glass crystal bottle. That's making me think of a lovely girl that I met at the ayahuasca ceremony 2 years ago. She had quite a large glass bottle and glass bottle, and she had sacred geometry. So what am I saying? She had a sticker. It was just one sticker, maybe two, of like a sort of a tree of life, sacred geometric pattern on the water bottle, which was glass. Which again, these people are on it. Hi, Patricia. So today's share, I wanted to discuss the cruelty, this polarity, cruelty in the world versus love in the human heart. And ultimately, how do we divide? How do we control one another? It's through separation and fear. Ultimately, that core wound of a perception of separation, which then allows the system of control and domination to divide and conquer, instill competition via lack and manipulation. And then we have a problem mindset society. So you'll notice often in politics, it's not light and fluffy solution based. It's just problem after problem after problem, which seems to never get solved, which is often this idea, I'd say, of a collective evolution or a quantum leap in our collective consciousness, because that paradigm of control and domination, fear and separation, divide and conquer, is destroying our humanity, is destroying the planet we live on. And so it's inevitable that the evolution of our consciousness is actually moving us into a much more responsible state of being via the heart channel of the human being, the human mind. So it's via the heart that we bring ourselves into unity consciousness, which is a perception that I am one with that what I see. So when I'm seeing something that's biofeedbacking to me, an uncomfortable sensation in my heart, it's up to me within the light of my awareness to transform that uncomfortable sensation. Hi, Elf. Hi, Elf herself. How are you, my friend? Good morning. That's why it's fun, like seeing Elf on Insta like 2 seconds ago, basically sharing the Insta peeps that I basically focus more on YouTube. I give more Fantastic fanatic. I give more to the YouTube community at this point. I'm slowly, you guys know I came off of Facebook. I check Facebook. I try to check it once a day just to see if there's any all to love messages, but even all to love Facebook, I'm just not on Facebook really. And so I'm still with Instagram, but even Instagram, I don't know. It's happening, you guys. I'm getting kind of bored of the social media stuff, I guess. And however, I feel legit here, if that makes sense. Like I feel like my YouTube stuff is working and like I feel committed and I feel commitment from you. Oh, like my nails. Classic wedding preparation vibrashe after decorating the hall yesterday. All the girls went to get their nails done. That's also not zero waste, and I'm pretty sure nails aren't vegan either. So, tick, tick on the on the failing of the living in alignment with my brand. But hey ho, um, part of why I share is that all of our courses that talk about veganism and zero waste and spirituality, we're very more important than like doing all of these things perfectly is like practicing non-judgment and love and compassion in yourself. So that ultimately what this leads to, again, is a more unified, heartfelt humanity, which just make better decisions for the whole, so that we don't have all this pressures as individuals to like, oh God, I have to go zero waste because the oceans, like when we get like that, which Katie and I have both had experiences of that, like literally the just like, oh God, the cruelty. You basically become an ineffective human being when you're drowning in emotion continuous and or higher and mightier than all because you meditate for 25 hours a day, right? Like so yeah, there to me, deep down, I could always sense the like, it's the judgment, it's the conflict within, my friends. I.e., yesterday I talked about mind battle. The conflict is always within the self. And so it's always in our own self that we're outworking the conflict that we perceive outside of self. Hence, like, yes, to make our lifestyle changes, which help us as a humanity, but not to put pressure on ourselves and then dump on other people for not living how we think we should be living. However, education, information that's coming from the heart, that can be important because continuously I'm still aware that like people aren't aware. So, I was kind of shocked my last trip to Indonesia, like talking to like the surfer community and the yoga community, and then going to like a restaurant and having everybody order plastic bottles with straws. And I was a little bit like, should I say something? I I'm there are these I assume assumptive reasonal. I just assume that everyone who practices yoga is also like a vegan and into the environment and blah 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 blah. It ain't true. And then I also assume that any surfer is into like, dealing with the plastic and trash crises. It's not necessarily true. Like people aren't necessarily aware of this stuff, right? So I think everyone is a work in progress. I don't think that there's some end goal that we reach. I don't think that there I and ultimately like a work like that's inevitable because change is continuous. And I again, even there's a feeling in that comment to me that feels like there's something outside of self that we're reaching for. Like it feels belittling to me. Like we're just a work in progress. And like, well, yeah, the whole world is. It's not like when we become crystalline light filled beings there won't be work to do, there won't be like a process for us to uncover from within the self. That's, I guess, the idea of infinity and eternity. If we're truly in our eternal state, um we are the eternal state, we are eternal. It will change predictably, yes, I agree. Yeah, and like, and that's the softening, right? Is like and also I guess I'm now addressing that is that you and I both is that I personally whenever somebody compares me to somebody else, I personally get a little bit triggered. And I know we all do it, but for me, and I think it's been because my whole life people have been like, "Oh, you're so like blah blah blah," or like, "Oh, you remind me so much," and like it's usually done in jest or it's done in lightness. But as I endeavored this like public figure career, I felt edges with people being like, "Oh yeah, you remind me a lot of Tony Robbins," or like, "Well, you know, so and so would never blah 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 blah," and I'm like, "Oh my god." I'm not trying to be so and so. I don't want to be so and so. I just want to be me. And like we're all completely unique, you know, we're all completely like who we are. But yes, I agree, we are all a work in progress. However, it's not like a unique special thing for some people. Patricia, it's funny because I'm addressing this in my heart holding space being like, this is not an attack, this is just me outworking stuff and being honest. uh, I've been called Buddha. I mean, Alf, that is legit. How, but I mean, that is awesome. But did it feel awesome for you? If it feels awesome, then hey, let's take the win. You know what I'm saying? Because there's always polarity with this stuff. There, we can take stuff on as some egoic, arrogant bullshit thing, or we can be like, yeah, he's my brother. He's my brother. So of course, you know, like, um, there must be a very all-encompassing kind of holding of the space with your energy as well. I speak like I know him personally. I know the Buddha. I know the Bodhisattva or whatever. I um, have only dipped briefly into things like that, but I think you know it's nice that we can be because okay, here's another random like sideline insight because there would have been a time that we would have been persecuted and killed for embodying some of those qualities. It weren't appropriate one for women to embody the qualities and even for these guys, let's be honest. um I don't even know Buddha's story fully, but I do know that there's another quite enlightened master that we like to call Jesus Christ, and he was persecuted and crucified for his light. And then throughout the ages, you know, many a philosopher, enlightened, witchy folk were persecuted like brutally, brutally, and tortured. So there is an awareness of within us of like having certain qualities that have been denied the human collective consciousness out of a control and domination tactic. And yet the truth of our beingness is that we are all like the Buddha. We are all like the Jesus Christ and the Mary Magdalene. We just got all fractal, we just got all cut up and all shamed. The conflict is within. It's the shame of our own beingness that is the sin, the ultimate sin. Hence why when we are disconnected from the heart, we behave in ways that are distorted and invite sin into our life, i.e. guilt and punishment, right? Uh-huh. Right. The light. And this is what a lot of us are talking about. This is what the evolution of consciousness is that we're finally, the masses are finally in a position to not kill the prophets, to not kill the messengers, right? So yeah, the cruelty in the world, you could say that's old paradigm. The love in the human heart, that's new paradigm. Cruelty, fear, separation, that is baseline or base tone. That is like a limited belt of perception. And then love in the human heart is much more expanded sense of perception. Obviously, love in the human heart, it feels better. And cruelty doesn't feel so good. Cruelty is not necessarily fun, is it? So I don't singing? Are you saying singing or signing? I don't even know what signing is. Oh, and then okay, I'll move down the line here, you guys. So, and then I have like competition, i.e., going back to like competition and comparison. Like, again, when we live in fear, competition and comparison is like this like insidious, ultimately destructive thing. So it triggers our unworthiness, our not enoughness, our unbelongingness. And then versus in the unity space of cooperation, of all of us has a unique gift, which when we work it together, we cooperate and up level the whole. Lack and manipulation. So perception of fear drives us into a feeling of there's not enough, and hence why we have to steal and hoard, another aspect of sin. And then I have a supportive compassion. So the way we outwork all of our inner issues is via the compassionate and loving heart. And this ultimately becomes a supportive system rather than a destructive system. And then a very clear and obvious polarity is the fact that the cruelty of our world focuses on the problems. You know, um, that's what the news is. The news is literally just focusing on negative problems so that you perpetuate divide and conquer. And then, and then in the love, in the unity, we just focus on solutions, right? Like that's what I like to focus on. Um, hmm. That's feels too like wordy and intellectual and picking it all apart. I can't quite go there. Um, so yeah, so cruelty is divide and conquer, separation and fear, competition, control, comparison, lack and manipulation, and then like problem mindset. Love in their human heart is unity, love, cooperation, abundance. So everybody has enough. There's more than enough for everybody. Nobody's trying to steal from each other. And then supportive compassion and solution mindset. Yeah, that way I'm actually fully aware of that, my friend. But I personally feel like this is another fear tactic. Is that one, people have to come into the human heart to then deal with that. If people aren't aware, then that's just making people feel bad. Like, what do people do about that? So everyone needs to rush and go change their name. And also, like that, there's a bit of a vicious cycle around this kind of topic of conversation because, um, like, my mother has changed her name. I have a pen name. I have my name. My mother and father gave me my name. And when you've done a lot of like spiritual sovereignty work, your name, your personal egoic projection is like that. But ultimately, when we're talking on this level, we're already living in the eternal realms. We're already living in the etheria. In essence, my cognitive awareness is in connection to the divine coding of my purpose. It's not invested in what Molly Robertson gets to fucking dominate and tell people to do. Nothing is actually about the individual person that is enslaved by the system. But I'm fully aware of the fact that we are bought and sold and traded on the stock market. And our birth certificate and the way they use our name is the living dead. I'm fully aware of all of that. And the fact that, yeah, the monarchy and the crown and all of the banks ultimately own our soul essence. That's why we do what we do. That's why we're here to talk about this stuff. It's deeper than what we think, and it's insidious and ugly. And ultimately, it's spiritual warfare because we all are contracted to the enslavement system. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. And that is happening that way. More and more people like you are changing it. I have the Kanamanachia folk, the light web. There are actually people I know on the ground who are reclaiming their sovereignty. They're taking back their codes from the government. Here in the UK, like, or not here in the UK, I'm in Canada right now, but my little like my little new paradigm community are people who actually perform spiritual sovereignty ritual so that we energetically and spiritually reclaim our sovereignty from this realm. So, on a spiritual level, my soul has no attachment to governments and to banks and to this realm ultimately. In the physical sense, though, my physicality is simply a projection of my soul, which is free. And yet, more people will have to do it the other way around because they won't be connected to the ethereal in the same way. They have to be able to do it via the actual system. So people who are more earthbound, you could say, i.e., the earth rings, they're the ones that are going to have to actually clear the contracts and do it in the physical so that they can reclaim their sovereignty in the physical realm of this planet. For some of us, that's not important because it's not our plan to stay here, right? And so me going through the physical gate of reclaiming my sovereignty here as a physical being is not my intention, because it's not necessarily my intention to stick around for another millennia. So it's like, or 26,000 years, I don't know. Um, so the doing it on the physical, yes, the changing of the language, I think this will continue to help. Thank you. Thanks that way. I appreciate that. And all we can do is do our best. And I guess sometimes I'm heightened because I sit with those energies of like, there's so much like, see, I feel emotion now, but there's just so much desire, oh, for people to love. And often the more you kind of continue on the journey here, the more you can sense like it's like it's just there in your presence field where you can feel where other people are and where people don't love themselves. And so often there's nothing you can do, you know? No, no, not at all. But there again, there's that is the embodiment of Christ, or that is the embodiment of the creator essence, is that the name is only a projection. The name is not the essence of the signature. The name, I mean, there's no way to define it. There's, oh, I'm having lots of emotion come up. But they're like, to me personally, in my awareness, I'm like, I just hang out in the void mostly. um, and I feel I have done. And so the awareness here is that none of the externals and none of the physicalization of the beingness was ever an attachment to me. There's no attachment to accumulating wealth or fame or recognition. There's no attachment to any of that. There's just a desire to live in peace. And as one humanity, I know in my beingness that my peace in truth is totally connected to the unity of these people here and this planet here. And I don't personally have any desire to live in denial of the extent to which our freedom and our emancipation is denied as one, but then also within our grasp. And so sometimes there's aspects of this spiritual community that I personally find um, not relevant to me in my journey. And I'm sure it's the same for obviously all of us. Not everything I say is relevant to all of you guys. Great. We're unique. Which shouldn't be the case, you know. I um am aware that there are certain things that humans can do and will be able to do and will have access to as and when divinity lines it up, as and when, love lines it all up. See, that way I just find that yeah, I get like an edge in that if you care about the children, you'd be getting the word out. I'm like I pretty much show up on YouTube every day to share, and do my utmost to share the messages that come to me that I feel are important for me. And similarly, I don't go around telling other people what they should do unless they come to me and pay me for my intuitive guidance. I'm not here to tell any one of you guys, like, if you guys really cared, I know you care. So I would appreciate the same from you, that you just know that I care and know that I'm doing my best. That's Then you're allowed. You're being guided in your freedom, as I am. And what the some of the stuff that you're talking about isn't where I'm at, and isn't part of my purpose, isn't part of my mission right now. It might be. I'm aware of I'm aware of certain things that are woven into the legal system, which are inherently totally corrupt. I'm also connected to people who are working on it on the ground level, who are claiming back their sovereignty legitimately with pieces of paper and fingerprints and a coded real language, not the language of the system, which is inherently an enslavement system. So yes, our words, our names in capital letters on letters are the living dead. But that's what a holographic control domination system is. We're just living deads until we're not. But we ourselves have to break away from that. We can do it on a soul level. In a sense, the actual physical manifestation of the being in the name is inconsequential to your soul's sovereignty. Oh, that's great that way. Then why don't you continue to share and continue on your path. But right now, what I'm aware of is that, like, we all have our different function, and trying to impress upon other people your function is not necessarily coherent to me. It's not in a resonance. And like, because we're not having a session, we're not having a one-to-one session. I'm not tuning into your energy specifically. I don't I'm not resonating completely with what you're talking about, and I'm holding space for this conversation, but it's kind of, I don't know. I don't know. Feels not great, you know? And this is something I'm endeavoring continuing to do in my own life. When it comes to business transactions, I'm fucking tired of people's bullshit. And I'm seeing my people pleasing stuff come out even more, and I can see how destructive it is, and I can see how fucking annoying it is. And like, ultimately, I'm just like, I this is my business. This is my life. This is my mission. And I didn't just one day, 2 days ago, decide to come onto YouTube. I was guided by my soul, and my soul has been guiding me the whole time, as most of us, it has been. But what I'm acutely aware of is my resonance is saying that humanity is being oppressed, and that is what we're here to shift. And none of us can continue to shine light if we're constantly going around telling other awakened people how they should be living their lives. Every single one of us has a function. Focus on your function. It does not serve me to go around and tell other people what they're doing right and wrong. And joining these, because that then just aligns with the cruelty of the world. Let's just perpetuate the story of how cruel and fucked up the world is, rather than living in our heart and claiming sovereignty and truth. So at this point as well, with the smiley face, I appreciate the fact that you're enjoying it, that you're getting a kick out of the fact that, like, I don't know, are you messing with me? Are you enjoying the fact that you've like brought this out? I'm not sure. Now I feel like I'd be interested to just go check your channel out, and see what the content is, because, like, I'm kind of bored of people joining these chats just to basically make their claim, if that makes sense. So, like, put their 2 cents in. And really, I just think this So if you have something pertinent to discuss with humanity, then you go live. You go live on your channel and share what you need to share. Don't go around telling. That's like, I don't go around on Fifth's channel and I don't go around on your channels and tell you guys what you should be focusing on. Our truth and our freedom is within us. You don't have the fucking answers. Sorry. Your one humanity doesn't have the answers for the totality of humanity. Usually what happens on an egoic level is that we focus on that one issue and pretend like we are the almighty God and have the answers for everybody. And I'm afraid you don't. And nor do I. I only show up really in truth for myself. And this stuff about our legality and our bondedness to the fucking stock market and our being sold on the stock market, that is so deep and so dark and actually irrelevant to the majority of humanity. They don't need to know about it. Just like most of us don't need to know the ins and outs of how a plane works to ride a plane. We don't need to know the ins and outs of a computer to be able to fucking work it. The majority of humanity do not need to know the ins and outs of what's going on the spiritual realms in spiritual warfare terms with the fucking Archon grid. That's not relevant. What is relevant is those of us who are awakened understand what's going on and break free. The freedom piece is within us. It's not in my fucking name. It's not in any papers that I write. It's in my heart, and that is all. And if I continue to perpetuate and jump on to other people's causes like that one, then I do a disservice to myself, because that's not where my heart lay. That is more mental jargon that is just going to fucking totally manipulate people out of their own sovereignty and do rat races, and also potentially make people take that power. Because giving people their freedom in that sense could definitely trigger people's ego. I have the almighty answers for all, therefore you must come to me. Yeah, for sure, right? No, you can't. There is no paper. It's in our heart. We have to basically imagine it out. We have to do it in our consciousness, right? I'm sick of roots. Hi, roots. Hi, roots, you know? I don't either. Honestly, actually, I do. Support. There is a lot of love here, and I'm being supported in this. And clearly, there's something about being triggered and being able to hold space for myself and space for anyone who's triggering me, rather than being like, ha! And also because I lose subscribers, I lose people because I offend people, and I don't know how to quite work it out. Oh, and John Beanie, and John, I did see you earlier. I never said hi though. Uh, okay, okay, and so that way, honestly, just keep loving yourself. Again, like I would say that's like that's like a symptom of our continual awakening, is that like we want to go around telling everybody, but you have to do it. You have to do it. Like, you have to do this because it's the way. I mean, that was me most of my 20s. People, oh my God, I was so, because I was constantly like, the world is fucked. And there is a element of truth to that, yes. However, yeah, neutrality and unconditional love have helped me a lot in stepping back from trying to fix problems in the world. Because in essence, based on the law of attraction, if we're trying to fix something, we're actually buying into the problem of it. Hence, my own unique sovereignty path of, I did a whole bunch of really profound spiritual ceremonies, which basically freed my own personal soul, i.e. the light of my awareness, my mind, the container of the essence of me, the signature of me, in ceremony with other and with divine light codes, basically removed any contracts. But all of us have contracts, soul contracts, although we can remove and dissolve, because it's a subtle contract. It's a little bit cunning, which hence when we invoke the divine energies, we can basically say, no, I don't buy in. You were naughty. You were naughty when you made these earthly and signed these contracts. So we're going to absolve them. We're going to get rid of them on a soul level, which then dissolves the 3D paradigm grid of, they'll go to the very end, go to the very edge. But once we've already claimed sovereignty in the soul realm, when it comes to actually our encounter in the physical, it always works in our favor. So like I've never had lots and lots of money, but by God, it's amazing to me the timing of the times in my life when I've been able to take out loans. I'm like, oh, sweet. Because to me, it's like the systems and all of that are actually all turning around in our favor. And whenever they don't, they're actually outworking a distortion within the self. So the actual self is totally what is transforming the world of the system, the illusion, right? That's great. I what I'm saying that way is that I'm aware of that, and it's a piece. It's a huge piece that way. Okay, and I am aware of this stuff. I just am also aware in my intuition that it doesn't apply to everybody right now. It may do at some point, um, but for right now, I am aware. And this is also like part of the issue for me as well, is that like I think maybe I could be wrong, but maybe this is more of like a female paradigm thing, but like I'm at a point where I am really tired of people telling me what's right and wrong, and I honestly, like, I'm not going to go to your channel because I get a lot of messages from people, not a lot, but like I get enough messages from people telling me to watch this, to listen to this, to see this, and I don't have time. And I'm not, and this, I'm not, you're here on my channel listening and ingesting and having an experience. That's your choice. That is your conscious choice. And what I'm saying to you quite clearly is that I am aware of what you're talking about. I am aware that the humanity, when we get a birth certificate, we are being bought. I am aware of that. I am aware that our names are representative of the living dead of the 3D matrix system. It is real. You're not bullshitting me, and I know that. However, that is not an ultimate truth. The truth, you're saying the truth is out there. No, it's not. The truth, there is no truth in that system. In fact, even this conversation, that is an ultimate inherent lie. And this is what I'm trying to say to you, is that when people claim their sovereignty in the spiritual realm, they blast out that paradigm. So if people can claim their sovereignty from within, stop focusing on the enslavement system, right? Stop focusing on the corrupted aspect of our world and start healing from within the self. Going around and telling everybody what the truth is according to you is not necessarily the truth for all. And again, that level of superiority is like, okay, I'm only giving you the answers to free yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you're free, why are you here? Why aren't you off flying through the cosmos? Why aren't you off doing this work that way? Instead of being on a tiny little YouTube channel telling the girl who runs the YouTube channel that you have the fucking answers of the almighty freedom piece. When even somebody like Jesus Christ said, thine is the kingdom, the truth shall set you free. The truth isn't in the fucking paperwork, isn't in the birth certificate, isn't even in your name. The truth isn't anything outside of the self. The truth is an experiential, eternal state of being. And I'm like, I joke, I kind of like lighten up about it. I can feel, and like maybe you all guys know each other. And I guess, and this is like another thing. It's like it's like sometimes when parents say stuff that trigger us as adults, because we're just like I'm an adult. I can make up my own mind. And this is why even putting yourself out there's so many polarities to putting yourself out there, because I can feel people's projections of me, And if I'm honest that way, projecting onto other people that they're not free is not to me the way. My personal practice is to imagine the free world. Imagine everybody is free. Let's rise above this system, not go around telling everybody that they're completely entrapped by it and that you are the almighty answerer of these issues, right? I have to hit it. I know. Oh my gosh. I Do you know what though? Do you know it's refreshing to me having lived my whole life as a people pleaser, not even knowing that was like a thing. And then in the last even like couple of days, I'm making different calls, I'm making different decisions, I'm making things where I'm like, no, actually, this is not on. I'm in my heart and I'm in my integrity, but I'm also really tired of the BS and I'm tired of being told what to do. And I'm tired of being manipulated based on people's point of attraction or based on people's financial standing. I'm really damn tired of being talked down to because of this, that, or the other, because my business or because my brand or because whatever. You know what? Go live your own life and let everyone live theirs. I don't do a lot of the things that a lot of even a friend of mine said that she spoke to a life coach who was basically kind of saying, you should want more. Any fear is a fear of limitation. You should go after making money and blah, 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 blah. And right. And I'm like, so that's often why I don't even like to say like I'm a life coach or da 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 like who? Because people have a certain expectation or even an imprint of what that means, right? Like, gosh, even labels at all. I'm like, what am I? I don't know. I'm a human who shares from her heart. That's it. Because I literally don't know how else to be in this world. I'm too far gone, people. See, that way I'm too free. I'm too free to like fit into any role we're meant to fit into. But I kind of feel like we're all the same in this, right? Oh, I just had a moment of like forgetting that I was live on TV, and I was just like about to pick my zit. Well done, me. Thanks, Patricia. do 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 do. Can't touch this. Do 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 do. It's like that though. That's how it feels. Sag. Oh, one of my like besties of 15 years was a Sagittarius. Do you Bill Cosby? I don't know. Bill Cosby? I don't know. Yes, there. Now I feel we're talking about our languages together. We can rewrite the script. Issue challenge. Oh, you guys, I so appreciate you. It's insane. And yeah, I gotta say, my God, it's awesome to break free from people pleasing because now I can just like feel stuff and be like, okay, well, this is what I'm feeling. And because of an encounter I had like a week ago, somebody actually just left. And again, it triggered me, but I was like, you know what? Who cares? And then I usually just share quite transparently. The only thing that like it does kind of like I just have to do a lot of like sending these people lots of like love and support like in earnest because they like I've done something that triggered them or like upset them, but then they just disown me and I always get a bit like my people pleaser is like, no, 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 what can I do? What can I say? Please, I'll help. I'll right? I'll take down the video. I'll change everything. And then I realize I'm like, no, that's their choice. Like if they wanted to talk to me about it, they could talk to me about it, right? That's fair. I love how like that's the classic empath thing is to like work something out, even though it's totally logical and reasonable. You have to be like it's okay, right? Like I'm allowed to just like go this way. And they're like, yeah. You're like, okay. But I'm an empath and I tend to try to like go around and like heal people's wounds because they trigger mine. And the reason they trigger mine is mine are just closer to the surface. That's all. Yeah. Thanks, Rochelle. It's huge, right? It's huge. Ah, purple heart, la la. And I have no doubt, even though like that was a bit of an emotional outworking, I have no doubt that way that this stuff will become more to the fore. But energetically, we still need more and more and more of us to kind of awaken, embody, ground, expand, to have the space in our awareness to contain that piece, because that piece, what you're talking about, us claiming back our sovereignty via the actual paperwork of the system, i.e., um, it's like the, I guess in terms of transaction, it's like us buying back our self from the system, and that is a piece. And I actually have visions of people doing that, and the soul sovereignty en masse. So I'm not like at all opposed to what you're saying. I'm just like, people aren't there yet, and they will be there, and they're getting there. But it's all, hence all of us have a function. Even triggering MJ on Also Love TV is a function for some people, apparently, because me getting triggered is an ultimate joy. for for other empaths and people pleasers who are trying to find their power. Because it's so easy for us to shut down. It'd be so easy for me to just get really like, oh God, uncomfortable, like I'm not allowed to be here. And then thank God, I've worked through enough density, shame, and guilt to just be like, actually, I'm allowed to be here. I can. And here's another thing. I'm like, I'm not trying to be enlightened. I'm not trying to be like special or spiritual or anything. This is just randomly like my little life and my little perspective that I've been writing in my journals for a really long time. There's all of these insights that I share with you. And just through years and years of dedicated yoga meditation practice, it would appear that like I've clarified my channel to be able to express, which is a gift. Speaking is part of my gift, just like many other people have a gift that they're meant to perform, they're meant to be, whether it's painting or I know some of you are musicians. Just our beingness, just like the truth of our frequency, the truth of our beingness is our function, is our purpose, is our path, right? And I can tell you, even though I'm very childlike, as like I cry and like rah, feel lots of things, but in truth, like my being is a heck of a lot happier and more free and more like, ah, pardon me, than I was back then when I was trying to fit into the system. Now I don't give a ass, and I'm so happy about that. I'm like, I never knew life could be so good, even with so little. And that's another piece. I'm like, oh my God, simplicity is legit the truth. Simplicity is just like, ugh. I'm thinking of that Mount Berg song or what are they called? Mount Berg's official, or is that the song? It's like, it goes, it doesn't actually take very much to make the deepest part of us incredibly happy. Just to be here, just to like experience life or something. And it's like the purpose is not to show how impressive you are. The purpose is to recognize what you're already a part of. Like, we're alive. It's fucking cool and weird as shit. Like, like, when you ever do that, just look around at the world and be like, guys, we're on a spherical ball of hot plasma. I don't know what the world, the earth as we know it is made up of a bunch of different elements ultimately. And it spins around a big ball of gas, and we have a rock spinning around us, which affects our tides or is connected to our tides, which I'm pretty sure is something else as well. But anywho, and we're alive in these bodies, apparently, like sort of by choice, but also a little bit corrupted aspect. But that's okay. And do you ever do that? Is it just me who sometimes, often, like probably on the daily, I'll just be like, my God, like what is life? And especially when I'm like in that weird extended observer / silent witness mode, and I'm looking around, especially being back on my old stomping ground, because I'm obviously dealing with like a huge resurge of all of the fucking imprinting of childhood, basically. But like, also in that kind of small industrial town energy of humanity, and then I'm like, oh yeah, like that's also still where people live. And then because sometimes, I don't know if you guys ever have this, but sometimes when you're like a traveler person or fairly nomadic, you'll notice that when you go to smaller towns, people look at you funny. And I don't think it's even just a judgment. I think it's an energetic disparity where people, like, you walk into, say, a Tim Hortons or one of these like local small town local, I don't know, trucker stop well, actually, there's one thing. One, people don't even see you. Like literally, it's like you're not there. That happens a lot. And then the other one is just like the whole cafe just suddenly goes like you're a fucking alien. And that genuinely is my experience, you know? Mhm. Oh, I know that way. It's very subtle. And I appreciate like you're still here. We're literally just having conversation. I just part of it is me just like working through that stuff. So in a way, like I appreciate, you know? Okay, anywho. That is mine too, alien. Funny, because as I was sharing that, I was thinking like Elf is definitely gonna res with this as far as I don't know. Again, like some of us we haven't met in the physical, but somehow like in the ethereal, like I really feel the resonance and alignment of function and play. So so yeah, so some of you guys will resonate with that wanderer vibe wish of like either being invisible and or people just like looking at you like literally you're either fear or just complete confusion or like or sometimes it can be nasty but fortunately most of us here have enough awareness that there is less of that, you know, we can hold that. Where I live everyone says hi to you. 13,000 people, but I love it. Yeah, I'm really getting into that in my small town as well, John. I gotta say, like, it's taken me a while to get there. But here's the thing. Here's the weird thing about this new phase for my life is that I've been guided to a town that is like, and obviously I say this with like mega heart love, but there's there's some weirdos there. Like there's and I actually weirdos I feel is a bit derogatory. I want to say eccentrics. And again, with like a town of eccentrics, I can fit in more easily because everyone's a bit weird already. So they're just like, "Hey!" And there's a lot of kindness. And you know, it was very much guided. I've been able to maintain it there without any kind of abuse or desperation. So, and it's a good friend, and it's all these connections, right? So it's like it's nice to finally kind of land in a place where I actually genuinely feel respected and just and not in any high and mighty way, but just like as a human, just someone who's respected and not like I don't know, using and all of that. And then there again, say these things. I'm like, yay, win! I just like manifested that. Like finally, a place that accepts me and doesn't either gossip, steal, manipulate, blah blah blah, right? And so it's like, yes. We're manifesting the good life, you guys. And that's the thing. That's the truth of when you get to know the self is that all of us think of the good life as like some beautiful suburban mansion with two big fancy trucks in our garage and a dog and right we imagine we're all imprinted with this idea of like what our ideal life's meant to look like and a lot of people I see are still chasing that programming, right? But the weird thing for me is like I have a little apartment, you know, and I was about to say, and I'm like, I need to be mindful of that kind of stuff, by the way. The police have told me. So, you know, yeah. And like the weirdest thing is that so many of us gather that I'm like, the legit truth of my dream is just like peaceful, like frolicking in fields and like having a garden at some point where I can possibly try to learn how to grow veg because that's never worked out for me yet. And actually that's not true. That's not true. I grew some spinach, lettuce, herbs back in Liverpool. We had a balcony. Um, I grew tomatoes, and I can remember one summer season actually being able to have my salads from my little like garden, my little balcony garden. So I've managed it, but I never managed it in like a garden. I tried growing carrots one year, a few years back, but some bugs got to it before I did. Um, dum, ba, bum, ba, ba, ba. Like, what am I doing? I can feel it's time to like sayonara's. Sayonara's, dude. I really appreciate your guys' engagement. I'm aware of this when I watch some of my little like astrology reports that like your guys' comments and the shares and all that kind of stuff is mega mega useful for all of us, expanding everything always. And I don't mind when you guys just actually reach out and like, hey, can you share this? I really appreciate being reminded. And that reminds me as well that one of you guys was super kind, and you sent this amazing, and I want to promote it as well, is that she sent me some, she makes her own all natural organic sprays, creams and stuff like that. So, and she's, one of us, and I want to share that. And so she sent me as a lovely gift, like a yoga mat holder, which I freaking love, by the way, and some yoga mat spray, some vinyasa yoga mat spray. So I've got a little picture, and I'm definitely going to be like spreading that on social, basically on All to Love, on alltolove.com. You will see on the shop page, Jen, Lotus Life. So Lotus Life has, lovely products, a lovely list of products. She's based in America. So like for a lot of you guys, it would be lower shipping costs probably to buy. But then, so check it. How cute is this? So she sent me this little belt, which is a belt that makes it easier to carry my yoga mat basically. And then, you can't see, it's kind of far, but then this yoga mat spray, which is legit awesome. Really good for like regular practitioners, and or if you are a teacher and you lug around like all your mats with you, which I've done long time, and you do very power yoga, your mats are going to get stanky. And let's be honest, especially if you live in the UK, I can remember like I'd have to cycle. I could only fit maybe 3 mats in the machine, so I'd like wash my yoga mats in machine 3 or 4 at a time, and then hang them up to dry. But it would take like at least 24 hours, and it would need to be sunny and blah 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 blah. So actually, one of the retreats I used to work at had the spray, and the spray works a treat for kind of getting rid of that stanky sweat smoke. I think I've covered everything I needed to on this. Let's get money. Yeah, for sure. I think that's the thing, is that there's a couple of my gal pals, star sisters over this way, that like basically the legit truth is what it comes down to, is just having land so that our bare feet can be on the ground. We can celebrate at our leisure. We can make food, grow veg, and just hold space and shine light for humanity. Like that is all. To heal and break free, because coming back to the earth, clearing out the body from chemical disparity and or disrupted DNA via processing and GMO, then we can ultimately start to hold space, use the plants are the highest form of technology, so use the plants to help us heal, whether it's feet on the grass, spinach in our mouths, right? John Beanie, that's beautiful. And you can see it, John. I'm like, that's like a lyric, right? How awesome. Now I'm like, oh, cool. All of our creativity totally fuses together and expands our creativity. Right. So much. Exactly. I love you guys. You guys are so on it, I gotta say. Okay, so that's me. I think this morning I woke up really early, but I slept a lot yesterday. And today's the day. I have a wedding to attend. I can't even remember the last time I went to a wedding, because so often I don't have any like conventional. I like forced myself. I like basically crashed a friend's wedding back in 2015. I reconnected with a small group of friends from high school, like after 10 years of like no contact. And then she was getting married at this reunion. And I was like, I'm coming. Like, I don't know why I did that. But weirdly, also going to that wedding made me realize, oh, I'm like so not in these like, I don't know, acceptable kind of social groups. Like, I don't have these social groups, as in like, so most people have these social groups where like, oh my god, I have like 5 weddings to go to this year. I've literally, I think, been to like 3 weddings my whole life. And this will be the 4th. I'm trying to think. I'm like 3 or 4. 3 or 4, that is all. My cousin when I was 17, my friend's friend, or a guy I dated, his friend got married. Oh yeah, and then one of my besties from high school, Meg, got married, and I went, and it was legit. It was awesome, by the way. But like, and these are really cool people. These are people that when I basically after I had my awakenings, I ran away from out of shame because they're all like doctors and lawyers and like super like successful in the system. And I obviously, when I was going through my awakenings, was just like, I'm never gonna be that, you know? So so I have mad love and respect for these people, but like I find in at 2015 was a big turning point year as far as like I'm never gonna be that. I'm never gonna fit in the way I was taught that I was supposed to fit in, so I need to let it go. And actually, when I attended the wedding and when I reflected upon the experience, I made peace with it. You know, I was like, it's okay. You know, it's okay that you're not going to fit in necessarily. And it's okay that these people don't understand you. And it's okay that like one of the moms just no, not shouldn't keep coming up to me, but one of the moms at this wedding was just like, so are you married? No. Any kids? No. And like, again, this is something really only other women can understand, but like you get to these different ages and it's almost as if that's all that you are, you know? And she didn't ask me about my job. She didn't ask me about my career. She didn't ask me just generally about my well-being. It was like I didn't have a husband or a kid and therefore I was just like, oh. Oh, and then it was interesting because she actually asked me about my mom, and this was a piece that I found really interesting as well, is that she brought back, like, she was like, "So how's your mom doing?" And then that made me really kind of upset. I'm like, so all of these adults that I was friends with their kids in high school, they knew that I had a hard time at home. They knew that my mom was depressed and alone. And all these years later, 15 years later, they're like, "So how's your mom?" And I'm like, wow, how considerate of you. You knew that I was struggling. You knew that my mother was struggling, and you never, ever, ever reached out and asked how we were doing. When it would have been nice, it would have been nice to know that we had friends in some of my friends' parents. But they just didn't. They just sat in their fucking judgment. And now that I've turned out to be like a semi respectable human being, they're like, "Oh, great. How's your mom?" I'm like, "Fuck you, actually, and your pretentious self righteousness." Because you don't care, and you sit in your judgment and you don't genuinely care. So I'm not going to give you what you want, basically. I don't know why that came out. Yeah, human programming for sure, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. I imagine all of us can. We can all just like sit back and hold space. That's how a lot of you actually understand what I'm saying versus like the getting offended and da 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 is like when you can just hold space, you feel the connection of what I'm explaining or sharing rather than just reacting and judging. So there's like we can hold space for one another all being who we are and what we are and the kind of truth of the noodling versus like because this is I think what people don't get either. I don't hold on to this stuff. I might be a completely radically different person with a different perspective 6 weeks from now, and yet somebody could watch a video from a year ago or da 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 and be like, "Oh my god, Jar 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 Jar," and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's not even like I'm not even there anymore, or that's not even a thing." So like nothing that I share here is like um hold on worthy, I guess, as in like i.e. a state of surrender and letting go and just be present. Like here I am, here I am, here I am, even when that way triggers me. Here I am being triggered. Here I am, and yeah, and actually, Rochelle, today was the first day I felt like I managed to just like breathe through potential reactivity and be able to just respond, even though the response might have been a little bit heightened. It was still like it was still held. I was still able to kind of keep it. I just like literally felt like I would keep her on the effing cool vibrashe. I'm like, what are you talking about? Elf, I feel that. I feel that. The now moment. I know. And I guess because the when you're in the witness mode, you're aware that people are not now. People are literally either in past or future, and they're not either on a timeline where they're spinning the past memory and then projecting the timeline into the future, but they're not at all in the here now. And there's so much stuff in avoidance tactic to not be here now, weirdly. Hence that polarity of it's not our joy that we're most frightened of, it's the drama that we're addicted to. Yes, we want the joy, but we can't we're not wanting to admit our addiction to thought and our addiction to drama and our addiction to like my pain ultimately, right? Like it's so funny. Took 50 years to get here. Well, and let's be honest, it's perhaps lifetimes of it as well. And I think 50 is a good year. And how freaking cool is it to be opening up to this love, abundant, beautiful, open-hearted, manifested life? It's like a complete rebirth, right? It's like you're now just starting a brand new life. And actually that's what I feel like, and that's what a couple of my good friends and clients feel like as well. There's like this sense of a rebirth happening. It's just remembering that like mommy and baby going through the birth process, there can be a moment where baby, I wouldn't know, but perhaps, but I'm probably sure it's a bit like oh, they cry, don't they? Like push, get through, and then all the gunk, and they're like, what is this? Breathing air and like all this shit, and then like the mom. Apparently, there's a moment in birthing. I've never given birth, so I'm not gonna speak, pretending like I know. But like other mothers have been like, there's this moment when you're giving birth that you just want to stop, and it's like right near the end. It's like right when the baby's head is crowning, and then the mom is like, "Oh, no, I'm done. I can't push anymore. I'm exhausted." But the baby's like right there. You're like, come on, you've got like one effing push. And then, but there's always this moment, i.e., dark night of the soul, darkest before the dawn, blah, 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 the calm before the storm. There's always this moment of just completely, I'm done. I can't. Hence, that's rebirth. And I think it's pretty effing cool. Like, it's like I realized I was going through like midlife crisis when I was 19. And normally at 50, that's the midlife crisis point. So isn't it nice that you've probably gone through quite a few midlife crises to actually be free and happy at 50, rather than the paradigm of follow the program, and then can't fucking hold on anymore, can't follow the program because I'm dying inside, and then break down. Buying a Ferrari. I don't know, getting new boobies. There's always physical representations of our breakdown, the fact that we're losing control, the fact that we are suddenly waking up to the fact that you are the creator of reality and that you just got bought, that kind of thing, which is always like that for all of us. This whole awakening stuff is uncomfortable because it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to the human ego, realizing like what's more going on, what's closer to the truth is, yeah, it's tough, but did not burn. Feel the burn of Bernie Sanders. John, I'm so with you, my friend. Literally. I'm like between 4 and 6 in the morning, I tend to have a bit of a breakdown. I usually have a good cry at some point in the day. And if not, it will build up. So it might be like every 3 days, or, I might have some decent months where I just have a bit of a breakdown, maybe once or twice a month. But that's, yeah, I did know that. And then for some reason I referred it to the burns, to the Bernie Sanders vibrashe. So I just looked over at 108, and I think that's like my cue. I've enjoyed this. Thank you all for being here. And I do, even with the that way sites. It's important for me to be able to kind of just talk through it and share honestly. I'm having breakthroughs on that level, so um I might as well just keep it up. It's 5 a.m. here. Yeah, same. Oh, we're on the same timeline right now, Elf. And that actually resonates on like in the multiverse, being on the same timeline. Um oh, something else. Oh yeah, going up, I see that if I say we can look to our children for wisdom, 100%. I'm totally there with you. I think really obviously there's an integral maturation as an adult of doingness and self-support. However, when it comes to like the nature of a human, watch kids and watch them, don't control them. That's the difference. That way, for shizzle and izzles. Upstate New York here. Yeah, so we're super close. And 10 a.m. John, it must be weird having me on like a different time. And then Rochelle would be 3 hours. So she must be you're up late, my friend, but that's normal. Our kids are so wise and amazing. Let it grow. Totally. The kids are just totally tuned in, and you can see it. It's the younger ones. What's that girl's name? Greta. I think I don't know much about her other than she's from Europe. She's a European young woman. She's a child. She's 13, adolescent, right? I think she might be 15. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's the kids. The kids now are going, yo, 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 like, what the actual fuck are you doing? Like, oh, hi. Oh, you're a child, right? But then actually, she's making sweeping fucking headlines everywhere because she's speaking sense that speaks to many, 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 many of us who have essentially been deemed voiceless for whatever reason. So, yeah, I hear that. I felt that as well. I remember having that recognition in 2012 that there was like a clear out and that new births were happening in the crystalline grid, right? Rainbow and crystalline. So there's no karma and they're pure. So a lot of us will resonate and be guided. A lot of us in our community will be a stronghold of light for these young ones. So they don't get too tampered with, if you know what I'm saying. And that they will have a guiding light throughout their life. Yes, born knowing, right? Like they just effing know. You can tell sometimes even in little babies that they're like already in their truth. And like nothing's gonna stand in their way, right? I'm trying to think. I remember having, I think, one of my first kind of proper yoga workshops in 2012. It was called Yoga Moves. And I had a didgeridoo artist who I also did a CD with, but he came, I think, with his girlfriend. And he does this thing. It's almost like a club because he's like on the didge. And then he's got like, so he's like blowing through the didge. And then live, he has like a drum. Like, so I did one of those like yoga workshops, but then like we ended up just like having a bit of a dance party. And that's what I did on December 21st, sort of bringing, and for at the time it was weird and people were like movement, and but then it was successful. Quite a few people came, and we had a boogie, we had some didge, it was nice. Made it all look pretty and all that. So yeah. Hi awakened, yeah, hey, hi, seeds. Yeah, and like 2012, that year, moving into 2012, it's just significant. We're in it. Okay, you guys. Is it my B day? Yeah, yeah, you're Sag, aren't you? One of my besties is on the 14th, I think, is my B day, and then out about experience. I wasn't at a party. Like this past December 13th, it's seriously, right, though, like it's kicking off all this stuff because more and more and more people as well are having these, like, I get random messages from people who've just had like an awakening experience which destabilized them, which really frightened them, and then sometimes we just need to feel a resonance with somebody for us to just say like it's okay. But these sort of out of body, a sort of ascension, I want to say ascension, you know, I don't really buy into it in that regard, but like these out of body, just again, we call it what we would call a spiritual experience, a kind of heightened aware experience. Like that is, that kind of stuff is going to happen more and more and more and more, hence why we can just keep sharing more and more and more, because I do feel like um, we have the awareness to now hold space for one another's healings and awakenings, right? Oh, thanks, awakened. Thank you, awakened one. I'll just call us all awakened ones. The awakened ones at Auto Love TV congregate in the morning to discuss oneness. Yeah, isn't it? It's way cool to catch from that higher view. It sure is. Well, God, and that's what ultimately brings us peace. That's what some of us have just always innately done without even realizing it. We've always been able to and like watch things, and that's been like the weirdest perspective, apparently, right? All right, you guys, that's me. I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna get ready for the day, and I'll send a photo. I will update a photo of me looking all fancy. All fancy for you guys. Not for you actually at all. It's for a wedding. It's for a family wedding, but so fun. I think it's going to be interesting. Okay, you guys, I love you loads, and I'll speak to you soon. I'm wishing you all like a super, super glorious day. Oh yeah, hugs. Virtual hugs. And of course, like I said as well, you're always going to break out if you don't ever go out for fancy stuff and then you get invited to a fancy thing once in the year. Don't worry, you will break out on the day of the event. Enjoy. Enjoy, everybody. Have fun.